the last 5 years have been very challenging. ILP in itself is not an objective. It's only a means to that objective of maintaining our identity, protecting our identity. 4 miners and their firms should be getting the mining plan cleared in matter of maybe month or couple of months. Now this decision also to go ahead and file it in Supreme Court should have been done in 2014 itself.
It will damage the ecosystem in a way.
Any economic activity damages the ecosystem.
Hello and welcome to Karma Conversations Election Special. We are here at the PA Sangma Sports Complex in Tura to interview my guest, who's the Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Conrad Sangma. Conrad Sangma is gearing up for the toughest battle of his political career. Will an opposition revitalized under Meghalaya stalwart and former CM Mukul Sangma take him down, or will he rise to the top despite a frosty alliance with the BJP? And my guest today, someone who's carrying his father's rich political legacy forward. He fought as the NPP president in 2018 and now fighting elections again this year as the Chief Minister of Meghalaya. Mr. Conrad Sangma, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much,
on Karma Conversations. It's been a very interesting 5 years for you. Challenging. You had COVID, you had violence, you had border problems. Despite that, you hung on. Many thought that you will maybe not finish the 5-year term, but you did. How do you assess your time at the helm?
Well, as you said correctly, the last 5 years have been very challenging from many angles. And a lot of people did think that we would not be able to survive 5 years because we had 6 coalition partners. And it's not easy in a coalition to carry everybody along. So first, of course, I think the fact that we had a good team and we had a good teamwork, we had good understanding. We tried to carry everybody along, and we tried to give space to everybody in decision making. I think there's a few things that helped us to keep the group together, number one. Number two, I think the whole issue of governance is something that we really focused on. And for example, ensuring that existing programs, existing schemes, unfinished projects, we ensured that we really followed up, monitored, and pushed everybody to raise the bar, I should say. And schemes like MGNREGS, where we were at the bottom of the performance index and getting an annual budget of about 500 to 600 crores, jumped to today from 500 to 1800 crores in matter of 5 years. And today we are one of the best performing states in MGNREGS. Similarly, in JJM, the water tap connections, we simply had only 4,000 houses in the beginning. And today we are crossing 3 lakh houses, and we are one of the best performing states in JJM also. So similarly, in many of these programs, I think the monitoring, the push, the continuous meetings and reviews, this has helped us a lot. And of course, we were also politically very clear that our thought process was very clear. We kept the people in front in whatever decisions we made. We did what was correct from the state's point of view, from the people's point of view. So I think these basic principles that are there that helped us to really focus on things. And I think the last 5 years have been challenging, but we have done our best, and we have seen many areas in which we have really grown up.
Your late father's vision of a pan-Northeast strong party, you could carry it forward. You made a mark by winning in other states and being a key player in some of them. With you as the Chief Minister, do you think that very important program took a kind of a backseat?
You can say that in one way because it's not easy. The two positions, I should say, or the two objectives of one of running a state and giving full time to it, and of course running a political party, are not always on the same page, and obviously requires a lot of time for both. So we have done our best to move forward, and I have tried my best to give time to both sides and to manage the party as well as to run the state in the best manner possible. So yes, it has affected to some extent, I would say.
And in the aftermath of the CAA, one of the things that you pushed for, your government pushed for, was the introduction of the inner line permit. Yeah, it was 2019. Still, nothing has been done. Did it make you feel like a second-class citizen when you, being in power, could not push and get it?
See, what we have to realize, and I repeat this in many platforms, is that the issue in front of us is the issue of identity, the issue of illegal immigration. Because we feel as people, for anybody, be it a Marathi will feel the identity crisis in Maharashtra. A Bihari will feel it in Bihar. A West Bengal person will feel it in West Bengal. So therefore, it's a question of identity. And therefore, when CAA came in, there was a sense that there was a move, or there could be a possibility of it being diluted. And hence, the concerns of the people was to find a mechanism to ensure that that identity would be protected. So it was really one of the mechanisms that we felt could be protected, and we felt that would be the immediate one, and that's why we went ahead with it. But what is important to understand is that we should not lose focus on what the objective is. And the ILP is one of the means or one of the mechanisms in which we can achieve that objective. ILP in itself is not an objective. It's only a means to that objective of maintaining our identity, protecting our identity. And hence, there are many ways in which we can move forward. Now, do we feel that it is something that we were given step, kind of a treatment? I guess that would not be the correct way to put it. We have protections, like for example, the 6 scheduled areas are there. We have the Land Transfer Act in our state. So there are very good mechanisms in place. And Government of India was, obviously looking at all those aspects and saying that, 6th schedule and Land Transfer Acts are there, and what more mechanisms are required. So in this, the discussion is still going on, and I can understand that there are political challenges also all over. Hence, our desire to continue to push for it will continue.
And that brings me to my next question. Why do you continue to be allies with the BJP, despite them targeting you so much on your performance, on corruption? Do you need them so much?
So it's like this. We are two separate political parties, and we have our own identity. We have our own ideologies, and that's the reason why we're not together as a party. We're not in the BJP as such. But whenever we have gone to the people for a vote and a mandate, the government and the public has given a fractured mandate. And hence, once this fractured mandate comes in, then government and political parties come together and work a way out to move forward. Now, it's never perfect, and it never will be perfect, because we have different ideologies, we have different ways of thinking. Maybe the objective is the same, which is to serve the people, but then the mechanism, ways, and the people are different. And hence, you will always find in any relationship, in fact, is never perfect. So similarly, I think a relationship in a coalition also will never be perfect. But that does not mean that if one issue does not work, that we just break the relationship. We work together, we find solutions to it, we fight, we talk against each other, which we also did when we were in other states and for other elections, the past elections. So we have also made our voice heard. We have not agreed with them in many ways in which then adjustments were made, discussions were done, but that's how life is.
Right. And we as journalists, have been a very busy lot when it comes to Meghalaya, because there were so many things going on. You had COVID, also then there were the teacher strike, then we had the little hawker strike that happened, unemployed youths hitting the streets, a lot happened. There was violence. Why have things been so difficult for the people of Meghalaya?
I think it's everywhere. I won't say it's fair to say that it only happens in Meghalaya. It happens in many states. The challenges for us are different compared to other states. But yes, we see a lot of things happening in Meghalaya. That's for sure. But I think that's healthy also in one way, because it brings out the concerns and the issues that people have. And I think it's a way to express. Of course, violence is not the correct way. I don't approve that at all. But I think having a kind of expression of concerns that you have allows us, allows me as Chief Minister, and allows us as a government to then address those issues. So it's fine. But then yes, you're right. We have a history of people being more vocal about different issues, concerns. Even when we got our statehood, we got it through non-violent means, but it was a consistent effort by the people, always coming out. So that's been there in the culture of our people, but not violence. But yeah, one or two groups and individuals resorted to violence, which was completely unacceptable by the society also and by the government also.
Coming back to the pandemic, the pandemic clearly hit your state very hard. A lot depended on agriculture, especially in Shillong and areas like that. What did you do to bring back, sustainable incomes for your people? And also, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned during the pandemic?
Well, first of all, COVID was that which hit us. It hit the whole world. So everybody went through difficult times. So there's nothing so special that it was only Meghalaya. Everybody got hit very badly. But yes, the more marginalized section of society and the economically weaker section of society was hit harder, because for them it was like a day-to-day kind of affair. So from the government side, of course, through Government of India's support, of course, in terms of food and rice, I think that was a major important thing that was done by Government of India. So the food aspect coming in, and the government's ensuring, especially in our state, ensuring that this food reached the people very, very efficiently, and the officers must be applauded for that, the work that they did during those difficult times. In fact, all the government machinery. So that was something that was important. But as a state, we have been really working towards helping the marginalized section. But coming to your next question, which is that what is the biggest lesson? I think overall, of course, number one, we need to be prepared very well for all these kind of eventualities. And we realize that sometimes our state governments work on a very ad hoc kind of basis. And I realized that, like other governments, especially in more developed nations, they have very strict, systematic ways of doing things. So there are protocols that are there. There are SOPs that are there. As soon as something happens, protocol A, B, or C is immediately, activated. I think these kind of systems, I felt from a government point of view, there are many other lessons we have learned, but I'm talking purely from a governance point of view, that I think this aspect of ensuring that SOPs and protocols should be in place, so that in any eventuality, whether it's a COVID or a health crisis, or whether it's a natural disaster, or whether it's a law and order situation, it's important to have those kind of systems, and we have learned a lot from there. We also learned that teamwork is very important.
The other sensitive issue when it comes to Meghalaya is coal mining. International media, national media, everybody jumps to it. Do you think that coal mining will return to your state? If so, how? And how will you ensure that the natural resources which are there, the environment which is there, does not suffer irrecoverable damage?
So I'll need to just take some time to talk about this. Number one, the coal mining in Meghalaya had been going on for the last 100, 200 years. And this is how people have been doing it for a very long time. And hence we have to realize that it was a system that was already very, very firmly grounded to the economy, and to the livelihood of the people. Now, suddenly NGT comes in and just the next day says everything is closed. So you can well imagine it's like a complete shock to the system. And hence, firstly, I strongly feel that it was not the right way to move forward. Even in the entire situation of having a global warming issue or different kind of issues regarding climate change, the concept of just transition is there, which is called justified transition, which means you have to allow the system to transition. You cannot just simply cut it, because you have to allow people to then get used to a new system, bring in certain rules, laws, and slowly shift the entire way things are done, and give a space of 5 years target, saying that this is what we'll do in 5 years, this is what we should do in 10 years, and then the next 15 years it should stop. And it should stop means, and we should find a proper way to do it. I think that should have been the right way to move forward, but nonetheless it happened, and we were not there in government that time. But as soon as we came in, we challenged this ban, because we felt that it was not fair. So when we challenged in Supreme Court, and based on a lot of our laws and the way the land ownership is here, and the systems that we have for land tenure system, based on that we won the case. So in 2019 in July, the ban was lifted. Now this decision also to go ahead and file it in Supreme Court should have been done in 2014 itself. So I'm not trying to make this political, but stating the facts. So in 2014, if it had gone ahead and approached Supreme Court, maybe we would have got relief then only. But it required again political will to take that tough decision whether we will go for a Supreme Court and challenge this ban or not, and we did it and we won. After that, the court mentioned specifically that there has to be a mechanism with which you can mine now. So the ban is lifted, but while you mine, you have to do it in a systematic way. So post that, we started creating the SOPs and different mechanisms in which the owners, landowners, because the Supreme Court says that in Meghalaya, the land and its resources below it belong to the people. So that is a landmark judgment actually for Meghalaya. It's not just for coal, it's for all the resources. So the land belongs to the people, and what is below it also belongs to the people. So based on that, then we created an SOPs, and today approximately 19 different firms and individuals have been given prospecting licenses. And based on that, now 4 geological surveys have been cleared, which means that they are close to now going for the mining plan to be approved. I expect that around 4 exactly to be precise, 4 miners and their firms should be getting the mining plan cleared in matter of maybe a month or couple of months. And once that happens, the mining will open up again and scientific mining will take place in the state of Meghalaya. So that is the way forward. And of course, there's still challenges. It's not a perfect model. It's not the same way in which it was done in the past. So some people are making it an issue, saying that what will happen to the smaller miners who have just small, because it requires about 100 hectares to be in one place to mine, and you can apply for it, for the license. So those kind of challenges are there, but we'll iron them out as we go along.
It will damage the ecosystem in a way.
So see, again, you have to realize again, any economic activity damages the ecosystem. So, I mean, the ecology. So therefore, the environment is obviously a matter of concern. But that's where government policy making comes in. How do we, or what do we do to ensure that we balance economy and ecology? And that is where policy making comes in, and that's where proper strict measures need to come in. We can't expect that it will not damage. It will damage. That's natural.
I'd like to ask you a question on TMC now. You already called them an outsider party, but they do have somebody as formidable as the former Chief Minister Mukul Sangma there. Do you think they have some political might here in Meghalaya? Or do you think it's just us in the media who are hyping them up for now?
If you ask me about TMC or any other political party, I will never say that they are nobody or thing. I always take everybody very, very seriously. Number two, I was referring to Madam Mamata Banerjee's statement given by her, saying that national parties like the BJP and the Congress, though they had local leaders who had joined them, big leaders joined them, but she referred to them as still outside her party. So I am just simply referring to that statement of hers and saying if she had referred to them as national parties, then that applies to her in the Northeast region and in Meghalaya, where TMC is an outsider party. So I'm only bringing the same reference of what she had for them to her party here. Even TMC had, in fact, BJP had a lot of senior leaders who joined them, but she referred to them as an outsider party. So it's the same thing out here. So I'm just giving the same analogy and using that reference. Coming to the point of the, of TMC, as I said that, yes, of course, he's a former chief minister, he is a leader of opposition, and, they have been here, their large number of their family members are sitting MLAs. In fact, 4 members from the family are MLAs right now. So obviously they have their base, no doubt about it. But I think the political situation is not so simple for them. That's what I would like to say. Not so simple. Now, the Congress had 21 seats when they won in 2018, or when the results came out. And in 2018, from then today, Congress is 0 MLAs. Everybody has left here and there. TMC broke away, and in fact there were 4 by-elections, which all we had won all the by-elections for those 4 seats of the Congress. And then after that, when TMC was formed, and they got 12. So from there also, already 5 people have left from the TMC of the original 12, again broken down. So what I'm saying is that you're seeing the opposition getting divided and divided and divided. It was 1, then it became 2, then those 2 became 4, now those 4 also becoming 8. So you're seeing multi-fractured opposition right now, and then that does not help. And people obviously are intelligent. So they see the political trend that's taking place and realize that, that there is no formidable or a united opposition, and hence, the stability factor and looking at all the governance, that it will be making more sense to vote for the National People's Party. And so therefore, I will never take them easy. They have a base, no doubt, but I think political situation is not really in their favor right now.
Okay. A final few questions to you. I just wanted to bring up, 2 events that took place during your tenure. One is, of course, the controversial death, and some, of course, called it murder, of the former militant leader Cheristerfield, Thangkhiew. And other is it was a big story, the controversial arrest of BJP leader Bernard Marak. Do you think these events earned a bad rep for you and your party?
I think whatever happened for a reason, in the sense that there was a law and order situation, and certain incidents were happening. And in the first case, which you mentioned about late Cheristerfield, Thangkhiew's case, that there was number of IED blasts were taking place in the state. And if you go to the report which we have made public, it mentioned that there was full evidence and knowledge from multiple intelligence agencies that another blast would go off in a very, very important commercial location, which we came to, which was actually Police Bazaar. And that blast would take place in the next 24 hours to 48 hours. Now, in that situation, police had to move, though the intention was not to have or kill anybody. But the idea was that when evidence like this comes in, and if police does not act, obviously if the bomb had gone off, you can imagine what would have happened. And hence they had to do whatever they did, police, in the interest of the larger safety and security of the public, which is their primary job. But yes, in the incident that happened, and they mentioned on how the process moved, and at that point in time, one round was fired, and the individual, died. And so those incidents that happened, but one has to see the entire picture of what was happening, how extortion was going up, how IED blasts were taking place in different locations. And there was enough evidence to show that he was very much involved in that and a very, very critical part of that. And if you go to the report, you'll be able to see that. So if you see the larger picture, as I said, and if you were to see, why this happened and how it happened, I think one would appreciate the kind of efforts that were made to control the law and order. What happened was right or wrong, that's something that I don't want to comment on. It's not something for me to comment on. There was as a judicial inquiry was done. And but yes, we faced a bit of challenge. We faced a bit of heat. But I guess in tough situations and difficult situations like these kind of things do happen. And I guess we have to face them.
Arresting your ally?
Regarding that, if you go back to again the history of the whole thing, multiple complaints came to us about this. And exactly precisely for the reason that you had mentioned about the fact that will people put a political angle to this, I did not interfere at all into this. I never called up the thing, though public was complaining to me. I just used to forward the complaint to the SP and I leave it at that. I never had pushed. Only when there was a written order, a written complaint and a statement in court was taken of a minor girl who alleged that she was raped multiple times in that location. The police had to move in. And when they moved in, they found different, weapons and different kind of activities going on. And that time also, not a single, call from my side saying that do this went in. I never interfered with any of it because I knew that if I do interfere, then it will be looked as a political thing. It was purely a work of the police. They followed as per law, and they went ahead with whatever cases as per the provisions that are there in the CRPC, and that's how things were. So again, some people talked about it, but if you take the largest sense of what happened, a lot of people did also mention about the fact that these kind of very not correct activities were going on, taking place in that location.
We were driving up from Guwahati to Tura. The road was beautiful, and as we entered the town, we saw the fantastic stadium. It's all looking great. But if you talk about your family bastion, Garo Hills, many would say that all is not well, because you have schools where there are no teachers. In fact, we at EastMojo have done several stories where there's been no teachers in some schools, teachers have been absent. Also, the healthcare needs upgradation. Why have you not been able to focus or not been able to do enough for your own area?
So again, you have to see the 50 years story. It would be really unfair to put the entire 50 years of story in 5 years' time. Meghalaya has traditionally been very, very weak in health sector and in the education sector both. And I can say proudly that in the last 5 years, the strides that we have made forward in education and in healthcare is more than what was done in the last 30 years. Every single school, that is government LP school, has either been new building has been constructed or repair work is going on as we speak even now. So there are about close to 3,000 such schools I'm talking about. And so there are huge number of schools that are there where government infrastructure which was left for the last 30 years has been made in the last 5 years. Colleges which had no buildings, buildings were sanctioned. 23 new colleges have been sanctioned or operationalized during our period in this last 5 years. We have cleared all the salaries of SSA teachers are on track as of now. All the ad hoc teachers and ad hoc teachers, their salaries have been increased by 50% in the last 5 years. These are real things that are happening for education. And you will see that a large number of the education policy came out during our time. For 50 years, we didn't have education policy. In the last 5 years itself, we have come out with an education commission now, which will now specifically look into concerns of the education department, so education sector. So therefore, huge number. And one have to realize one thing. We have about close to 15,000 schools. Now, let me just tell you this has happened within the last 50 years. And a state like, say, Manipur, which is more or less same size as us, has 4,000 schools, institutions. So I'm not schools, institutions, education institutions, all private and ad hoc, deficit, government, all put together. So 14, 15,000 and 4,000. So we have a huge, large number of schools which are there. And what had happened in the past many years is that a lot of government money, we spend close to about 2,000 plus crores just on education, just to give you an idea, maybe 2,500 now. And that's the amount of investment that we make. So education has been given the priority that we had promised the people in the past, and we have really shown it at the grassroots level also. You'll see many such pictures of real work that's going on. Have we been able to transform it fully? I would not say that. But I think the process has started. That inertia that is required for that movement to take place and for things to start happening has started happening. It's a huge machinery. Education sector is one of the most complicated sectors for our state. Teachers who have been mentioning, as I said, the salaries that were pending, a large number of them, as I said, the SSA, for example. So again, this is a Government of India's program. I think you know that. So it's a 90-10 ratio. So we have to pay 10% and Government of India pays 90%. So what we did, made provisions was we created a pool of resources as a contingency fund, so that even when the money does not come from center, the state pays for it in advance. So we've been paying in advance for the central share to the SSA teachers. And many states, by the way, face this problem of SSA teachers. Our state faces it more because we have 12,000 of them, whereas a state like Manipur has about 3,000 to 4,000. So you can clearly make out the difference that, that we have much more compared to many other states. In fact, in the beginning when the SSA program came in, SSA was supposed to be kind of a gap, institute where wherever there was not a schools close by, government school, you would put SSA schools. But when it came that time, there was a government school and an SSA school next to it. Government school, SSA school. So a lot of things were done at that point in time. I'm not here to blame anybody, but it created a very complex problem for us. So that's education. In health sector, you'll be happy to know that we are the 4th highest in terms of budget today, in terms of percentage spent on health sector. And we were, again, at the way bottom. And today we are at the 4th ranking in the state in terms of the percentage we spend from our budget on health sector. And again, the same thing, almost all the sub-centers, PHCs, CHCs, we have sanctioned funds. We've got externally aided projects today that are now upgrading the overall health infrastructure that is there. 400 is a record in our state, I think in the whole history of our state and maybe even other states, that we had a huge issue because MPSC is the Meghalaya Public Service Commission is overburdened because there's so many posts, so much, even in fact 2,000 vacancies are there, they're not able to move forward. And out of them 400 were doctors. So because of whatever communication, this, that, and overburdening, the MPSC could not conduct the interviews and regularize the doctors. So we came out with a Meghalaya Medical Recruitment Board. And in one shot, we have recruited 400 doctors and almost all the vacancies now are full. So all these kind of measures, as I said, it's not that, health sector is bad in the last 5 years. It's a legacy issue for 50 years. I'm not blaming again anybody, but these are facts. We need to understand that. There was a time, I just saw the numbers yesterday, I was seeing the website because we are monitoring everything online now. So there were these maternal deaths that we used to have, very high maternal deaths. So I was looking at the numbers from last year around this time, and we saw that is November, December numbers, and there were about 28 deaths during that November, December period last year. And this year we have down to 3. And again, you'll think that it's just happened. It's not like that. There's a concerted effort. We have today close to 300 shelter homes for mothers who are pregnant and are high-risk mothers. We monitor every single mother today who is pregnant through an app. And every high-risk mother also, we know exactly where they are, who is the doctor who's handling them, who is the ASHA who's handling them. All these measures are being done in order to ensure that we save a mother's life. So there's so many things. I don't think I have time to tell you all of that. But what I'm saying is the kind of efforts and steps that have been made to improve the social sector. And when I say social sector, which means health, education, and social welfare primarily, have been unprecedented in the last 5 years compared to what has happened in the last 45 years.
Two political questions. BJP leaders have made a beeline for your state. All leaders have come. They have accused you, your government of corruption, disrupting central government projects, whatnot. And some of the attacks have been very personal towards you as well. As we go, will you still be aligned with the BJP?
After election, we will see how things are. Again, we have to see the overall numbers that come out, and let's see what the mandate that people give, and we'll work accordingly. But having said that, we have always aligned with the NDA. We have, it is for my father's time. It's not just that I'm doing it now. And we have a strong relationship. There's no doubt about that. I share a special relationship with Honorable Prime Minister, and obviously because of my father's legacy and the relationship that he shared with Honorable Prime Minister, and they both had deep respect for each other. And so these are bonds and relationships which are beyond politics, and I respect that. But yes, of course, there are concerns that we have, and there are not always we see everything from the same angle, and we may not agree with a lot of things that they may do or they may not do, and we may still have our demands, but we work. We try to find solutions to things, and we will keep our channels open. So there's no doubt that we will keep our channels open, and we will see how things are. But I think it's too premature right now to say anything about how the government will be formed and all. Let the situation come and then we'll decide.
A final question. The border resolution with Assam was one of your crowning achievements, but there have been voices of dissent among people from both sides. What lessons were learned in the first phase, and how do you tackle the second phase?
Primary principle that drove us in decision making was, would it be good for our people or not? So whatever happened, the question finally that came to us, is it good or not? And if it is good for our people, well, the decision is made. So this principle allowed us to make a lot of decisions, including the border issue. So many people came to me saying, are you sure this is politically, very, very challenging and you're making a mistake? Then I just told them that, I think 20 years, 30 years from now, when I look back, or people will look back, and especially if I think back, and I will look back and say that when I was given the chance to do it, I would regret it after 20 years, looking back and saying that why I didn't do it. And that was another very strong reason for me to go ahead with this. So that's number one. Number two, we will go ahead with the second phase also. We will solve it. And yes, we did a lot of consultation with everybody. The movements that took place, the visits that were made, multiple meetings took place. A lot of argument took place. I cannot talk about that right now, but we were in the room and, so much of heated discussion taking place. But then ultimately, again, the same principle drove us, saying that, what about the people? What do the people want? I mean, we as politicians are here. We may be thinking something else, but if the people don't want it, how do we move forward? This is not a different country. So we went ahead and we asked for almost like a referendum, where we asked the people, well, would you like to be in Meghalaya or something? And that led us to really realizing that, wow, this is really working. And when we started asking the people, and when, both of us, Mr. Hynniewtrep Sharma and me, when we sat down, we discussed that if a person who may be in Assam, according to them, they claim is Assam, and of course all the administration also is being done by Assam. Those people there, suppose they are from the Garo tribe, or a Khasi tribe, or Jaintia, or Panar tribe, and they say that, no, we want to be with Meghalaya. Like, how can Assam pull them back? If there are people from, this side, and who are wanting to say that we want to be in Assam, how can we stop? So that became one of the principal driving decision-making principles for us. Not that everything is based on that alone, because we have to see the logistics, we have to see the history, so many things are there. But I think that going forward, in the second phase, this will be again another primary way for us to be able to deal with the situation. And let me also put it on record that it is also because of the positive leadership from Assam government, there is Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sarmaji, and the leadership from centre, which has been continuously moving and wanting a solution to this. And obviously the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister has been very, very particular about this. In fact, he wanted this to be resolved before the 75 years of India's independence, but COVID and all these things came in. And his point was very clear, is that within India itself, we cannot resolve our own differences. You see? And how can we expect to have international issues resolved? So he was very clear, resolve your issues, whatever it is. And that gave the direction to everybody and the will to move forward. And I'm hopeful that given the opportunity again in the next term, we will resolve both the phases, and we will find a solution to this border issue.
Right, we are all hopeful. With that, we come to the end of this insightful interview. Thank you so much, Mr. Sangma, for speaking to us, and all the best for your big fight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kano.
And do like, subscribe and follow EastMojo. We'll be bringing you many such interviews on Karma Conversations election special here on EastMojo. Thanks for watching.